Lauren Wine is joining us today, Charlie, from Nashville, Tennessee, previously from Boston, Massachusetts,
That's
or
right.
right outside Boston.
Yeah, I grew up in Newburyport, so it's like the North Shore, or North Shore, as you would hear it. Yeah.
Amazing. So, Charlie, you went and got a new hat after you realized what I was wearing and why. What'd you do that for?
So funny enough, I've like most people for the last 25 years, 20 years, for most of that time as an avid NFL fan, that's a dog that just walked in, I'm pretty sure.
That's
Yep,
Tifa.
that is.
Oh, we'll be talking lots about dogs. I can promise you that.
Okay.
Hey, oh, what a cutie!
So on behalf of most sports fans for like 20 years, I detested the Patriots and Brady because they just won all the time. But where we get to connect here and where I'm happy to put the hat on is now we have this thing that I don't really feel that way anymore because Brady came to Tampa and we were miserable for a really long time. In his very first year, we won a championship. So now I'm part of a rare group of people that just feel a little less animosity, and we have this shared. I assume it would be wildly funny if you actually surprisingly didn't like Tom Brady, but I assume that's the case.
Yeah, no, we can't not like Tom Brady. He was the cheese, the big cheese in New England for a long time.
Didn't think we'd ever talk about Tom Brady, but I'm happy that we
There you
are.
go.
Actually, I'm wearing this hat because Andrew I didn't realize how into hats Andrew was. And then he found kind of a version of what I'm wearing that I really wanted on Instagram from you want to plug him? You want to plug your hat dude on Instagram, Andrew?
Yeah, everything vintage. That's where I got
Everything
this hat,
vintage.
actually. So this is a 1970s new era Patriots hat.
The
Like old
condition it's
school.
in, though, it looks
Yeah.
like freaking vibrant. Saturation
New.
is
It
like
was
coming
when
off
I
the
got it.
screen.
It was new with tags. I've only ever worn this hat one other time, actually, and
Oh,
that was
wow.
during our fantasy football draft that we did, which Charlie got me into fantasy football, which I never played before. But this year I did something and nobody noticed it on the live feed. Is I changed hats for every pick that I made. So I put on a different.
Dedication.
Yeah, I had
Wow.
a whole stack of hats and I changed. And I figured somebody would say something because half of the hats were like complete nonsense football hats that it was went over everybody's head. It was fantastic.
No, we're all just like this staring at whatever our next pick is. Like it's the most important thing we're going to do all year.
Listen, that whole fantasy sports thing is so wild how serious you guys get into it. It is
Hold on, do you not do any
on
fantasy?
another level.
Do you do any fantasy football, Lauren?
I don't
Never have?
follow players that closely. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll follow like teams, but you guys are like really focused. It's like players and who's getting hurt and I'm like, what? Why? What?
Yeah.
Yet.
Over
You
my
don't
head.
follow any of those players yet. On today's episode, we will be talking about the origin of fantasy football, and we will be talking about the first league that Lauren Wine has decided to join with mostly
it.
Yes.
Patriots players on her roster.
Yeah, exactly. Too funny.
Anyway,
But yeah.
cool. All right.
So it's funny because Lauren and I met, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. I don't know the exact timeline, but we met in hospitality and just kind of the story that I remember is that I sort of conned her over like 12, 14 months to become a manager at one of our restaurants. And then she did. And then, we ended up connecting, had a lot of fun. And yeah, it's been interesting to see sort of what that was when you came in and when you started, and then what brought you to Nashville, and then when you ended up taking that job with us as a manager, and then opening up the third iteration of that concept. So how do you remember that? Because I remember this like constant, like, hey, like poking the bear, kind of, trying to manipulate. I don't know what the word is,
Yeah,
but get you to take this position.
You laid it on me hard, that's for sure. Yeah, so hospitality has always been, it's a good like fallback gig. When I was up in Boston, I was still in Boston. I was a host and a server for a long time and doing it. I was in music. Here I am in Nashville. You can assume that if you're in Nashville, you have some kind of music going on, right? But I've been in music for a long time. And started in hospitality, starting in restaurants. And I was at a sushi restaurant in Boston. I started as a host, base, just entering into restaurant, right? And I ended up, I guess, right place, right time, or wrong place, wrong time, depending on how you look at it. But I ended up within a year and a half being the general manager of that restaurant.
Whoa.
It was wild. So when I came down to Nashville, I was working from home, doing what I feel like a lot of people were doing probably around that time, and decided I wanted to take up serving again just to make some extra cash. I wanted to buy a house, so was serving for a little bit, and the general manager at the time was my host at that first restaurant when I became general manager at that restaurant. That was Brittany.
So in Nashville, the GM that was working with me at Virago, which you came to, Charlie, we taught Charlie how to roll sushi at Virago once. So there is a through line here.
Oh,
There's
wow.
another through line there. Do you remember why we rented out the dining room in Virago, the little private dining room? What that was for?
Fantasy football.
For fantasy football.
Yeah.
Stop it. Bye.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was not a part of that at that time. But yeah,
Yes,
the general
very
manager,
much like this conversation. All
Yeah.
in its own timing.
But yeah, the general manager that was working with us at that time was Brittany, and Brittany reported to Lauren in Boston at the original sushi restaurant that Lauren worked at. So then Lauren came to Nashville and started working for Brittany. So it was this really weird, fun thing that happened.
And I didn't tell anybody that I managed restaurants before. I just wanted to serve. I was just making some extra cash. I wasn't telling anyone. But of course, Brittany knew. So I think you, Andrew, and Brittany must have like talked at some point. Brittany probably dropped the news that like, hey, Lauren's managed restaurants before. We should talk to her. And yeah, from then on, it was like secret conversations in like the private club in the back. Like, hey, Lauren, come over here really quick. I'm like, damn it, Andrew, no.
All right, Lauren, help me out. Help me out, Lauren. So for like me and all my friends that listen that don't have the background in restaurants that both of you do.
Yeah.
General manager has how many people were underneath you? What are your main responsibilities? Like just painting like a kind of a picture of like, yeah, what is that role like?
Yeah, I mean, you're the top of the in-house restaurant, right? So it's you and whoever your executive chef or your counterpart kind of right in the kitchen. I always felt like we were on the same level. And yeah, I mean, you have managers, right? You have the assistant managers underneath you who are the ones, most of the time you're going to give them certain roles, right? You might have like a bar manager, you're going to have a floor manager, you're going to have a back of house manager, right? You kind of have all those different pieces where you hope, they're all kind of working together and making that all happen. And then you have everyone else underneath that. I mean, at Virago, I don't know, at our highest when I was there, probably had, I don't know, probably around 100 employees. Would you say?
Yeah.
Andrew?
Well, before we consolidated and moved to the smaller space, definitely between front of the house, back of the house, management, and then Citizen, it was every bit of 100 employees total. Yeah, it was crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, Citizen was our like private club part of the restaurant. In the back, that's where Andrew would corner me and talk me into becoming a manager again.
Okay, so Andrew, follow up on this. So Lauren's just looking to be like one of 100.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it that you saw in her or knew that you're like, wait, I got to keep shooting my shot here to have her be like managing the 100?
Oh, 100%. It was charisma and communication. I mean, we had a lot of people that worked there that were really good at doing their thing. Like they had their head down, they were focused, they had their blinders on, they stayed within their lane. But Lauren always seemed to kind of let her periphery take over and see things that were around and outside of the scope of what she was doing. And that's what I looked for when I was looking for people to bring up, whether it was a cook to a sous chef or a server to a manager or anything like that. But she's probably the only person that I've ever worked with that went from server to general manager at the same restaurant, which is like skipping 2, maybe 3 levels, depending on the restaurant, almost overnight, to where we actually had a server who was on vacation came back. Lauren had just been like, it's her second week of being GM. And the server comes back who's used to seeing Lauren on the floor with her and goes, hold on, wait a second.
What just happened?
She's now you're my boss. Like it was a funny thing of how quick it happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's what I really looked for in people was, are they charismatic? Will people listen to them when they talk? Can they capture the attention of the people that are around them? Do people follow what they say? And how well can they communicate what needs to be done? And she did that really well, but there was never this like authoritative thing about it. And it was always kind of lighthearted and fun. And but we had this opportunity because our general manager there was moving to another restaurant, and I needed somebody that could take that over because I was leaving to take over the culinary director role for all six concepts. But Virago was also moving into a new space, so I needed somebody that I could trust.
Way, no one told me. That was never part of the deal. No one told me that was happening when they were convincing me to become GM.
I don't remember that part.
Nope, never. I found that out in the offices at the top of the hill after I had already signed the contract, and I was like, I'm sorry, we're doing what?
Yep.
Damn it.
But it worked out. It worked out really well.
It did. It's a cool school. If you haven't been, it's very cool.
I love
Definitely.
it. Okay, so sorry to keep this is an interesting story. Last part on the follow-up here that I'm interested in is, obviously, I'm curious how it feels to have Andrew send such nice, sincere praise about you. That being said, that was not what you were originally looking for. So what changed from I'm whatever to the seventh or eighth time or however many times he had to ask, where you were like, you know what, fuck it?
Yeah. Restaurant is one of those things that like it's like an adrenaline. It is like this thing that like you just once you get a little taste, you just can't stay away. I don't know what it is. It's like it just sucks you in. Yeah, every time. And I keep telling myself I don't want to do it. It's not my thing. It's not what makes me happy, right? But I I think about it once in a while, and the rush of like having a great night and nailing, the prime time and everyone working together and making it happen. It's part of being a team, and you don't get a lot of that sometimes in a lot of different work environments. And it's a little bit of a performance too. I mean, I'm a performer. I've been in music, singing and writing and performing for a very long time. So a lot of times when you're on the floor, it felt like a performance. You want to make sure everyone's happy, and you're walking through and you're talking to random people, making friends and conversation with people you've never met before, or people that come all the time. And you're like, yes, regulars, this is awesome. I know your name. I know what you're up to. I know that you're going to be here every Wednesday night. It's, I don't know.
That's cool. That specific thing that you just did there of, comparing the performance that would happen on stage or something you'd be doing in music with an audience to this shared energy that I would not think of it in that context. I would love just even a little bit more of like, how do you know? Is it just a feeling? What's it feel like when you're nailing it in the restaurant, versus on stage?
Yeah, I mean, it's again comparing it, right? If you're on stage and you're singing songs, you're performing, you can read people's faces whether you're doing a good job or whether they're receptive to what you're doing immediately. You're getting that satisfaction immediately. And if you're not nailing it, you're also getting that pretty immediately too, right? And you can tell you're looking at their faces like, oh, okay, I'm gonna change what I'm doing here because they're not liking what I'm doing. And in restaurant, it's a lot of the same, right? When you're touching tables and you're going and, just saying hi or just walking by, and you can tell someone's taking a bite at something and they either go, oh, that's so good, or they're going, it's the same thing. You're reading faces, you're walking by, you're making sure, a glass is empty, right? And they're looking around. It's like, okay, they're waiting for a drink. Like, let's go check the bar and see if that's ready. Is someone behind? Let's get someone else to help them. And it's just making sure that flow and that again, it's that teamwork and just reading people's faces and knowing what they need or what they might need and being able to get there before they have to ask, right? I mean, that's customer service and in any any business that you're in. So
this is why I'm so satisfied by coming full circle, Andrew. So thank you for letting me ask all those follow-ups, because in the very beginning, when you were explaining what you liked about Lauren, you said her periphery was like activated. You could tell she saw, and then where we're ending is the same thing, right? I feel like maybe some performers, I don't want to say black out, but like stare off into the lights, you know,
100%.
or
Yeah.
like very much into their own thing, and they're just going to sing and not think about whatever else. I don't think it's everyone that's they're on stage and they're also paying attention to how the person in the crowd's responding and is in the dining room and knows how many tickets are waiting, how many times some of the chefs yelling hands, sees somebody all the way in the back, sees somebody right up front, picking up on nonverbal cues. And so now it kind of all comes for a circle. Andrew saw this element of paying attention. And what I always find interesting about that is I think that's a lot of effort for sure, but then some people just have that ability that some others don't. So it seems like probably both in your case. I imagine that that shows up in other parts of your life as well, as far as paying attention and seeing things.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think it's like, multitasking, just kind of being able to see the overall picture rather than what you're doing in that very moment and only being able to do that one task, right? I mean, yeah, it's just you gotta see it all.
One thing I'll definitely say is that it doesn't go the other way in terms of performance, right? You can be a great server, you can be a great hospitality professional, but translating that to something on stage, absolutely not. There's nothing in the world that terrifies. Like, I am so beyond not just terrified, but like the worst possible thing that could ever happen to me is to me be on stage with a microphone in my hand and somebody asking me to do something that requires a skill beyond just talking. If I had to dance, sing, do a magic trick, I would, I don't know, I would freeze. It would be over within half a second. I wouldn't even
Because
attempt.
you don't know it. That's because you're unprepared. You don't know it. When you're
But I
in,
will never prepare for that, ever.
right, but that's what I'm saying.
The idea of it is making me anxious right now. There's like, I remember the first time I had to give a speech when I was working in restaurants, and it was like, hey, we're going to have the entire company came to this event, and it was broken up into 2 days. So there's 250 people there on day one, 250 people there on day two. And day one, I'm in my head, like, I can't figure this out. And I have like these little jokes that I'm trying. And I was so nervous that I said the punchline and never said the joke and then just moved on. And people are just looking like, what just happened? And then the guy that I was up there with, Bob, had to like reel it back in. And then he told the joke and then goes, okay, Andrew, now it's your time to say the punchline. So
Oh my
that's
God.
just not a world for me in any way. But once it got into the purpose of why I was there, it was great. But this sort of like predetermined idea that I was going to tell a joke and that would be like the icebreaker, horrible, awful. Never again will I do that.
Oh my God. That's so
Yeah.
amazing. Really, is that like on video somewhere that we can show
I'm
a clip
I'm
in here?
sure
Insert clip
I,
right here.
I'm sure that somebody recorded that and put that wherever they may have done that. But speaking about preparedness, how does one become prepared to perform on stage? What does that look like, and where did that journey start with you? Because I think we've talked a lot in different aspects of being around each other, being friends. We did an R&D trip where we connected again, but like, what does that look like from when you're in Boston, when you get that itch to get on stage, and then, to your point, being prepared to do that?
And
Yeah.
can I just get the context a little bit of your background from not being
Performing.
on stage, yeah, to being on stage, yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, so I mean, I've been singing my whole life, basically, right? But when I was about 16, I auditioned for a girl group or a girl band, however you want to say it, and did not get in right away because they thought I was too tall next to the other three that were already chosen.
She's
And then
6'3", by the way.
I'm 5'8". I'm 5'8". I'm not that tall. No, the other girls were short, and I can say that to their face, so I'm not even mad about saying that on here right now. But yeah, auditioned and then ended up getting in when the other member didn't work out. And I was in that girl group for about 10 years. We
Whoa,
practiced.
a decade.
Yes. Yeah, very long time. We practiced, talk about preparedness. We rehearsed and were together every single day after school, after work, whatever we were all doing, every single day. Every day. It was super intense, super duper intense. We ended up after, what was it, 4 years? We were performing all around Boston. We were recording, selling out our CDs at our shows and all that stuff. We ended up getting signed with Motown Records. The only all white girl group ever signed to Motown before they closed down. So whoop whoop. Um, um, yeah, we were with Motown for a while. We released a couple songs.
So there was like an R&B element to the girl
Yes.
band.
Yeah. We were compared a lot to like an In Vogue type where all four singers, we all four of us sang, all four of us had parts. That was one of our big things that we kind of like stayed true to for a very long time. Anyway,
It's kind of badass. I don't mean to be interrupting your story, but it's kind of badass because then it gives this impression that all of you feel like you could hold your own vocally.
Exactly.
Beyond not to stereotype other bands at the time where it could maybe like be all about the choreography or the looks or something, but
right.
Cool.
Yeah, we did all that. We did we danced, we like choreographed all of our songs, even just to like, you move this way, you move that way, and that's all we do in a song. And you know what I mean? It doesn't mean we're doing full dances the whole time, but yeah, we did all of that.
Who is we? What is we? You keep saying we.
For us four girls.
The girl band.
Yeah, but what was it called?
Oh, truth. We were called Jada, Jada. Initially, it was the first initial of the first four members, and then there was switchover, and we just kept it. People would ask us where'd Jada come from. We'd be like, we just like the name. So yeah, Jada was the girl band that I was in for 10 years, and after that, it ended up not fully working out. We were young. We were all like, teenagers when we joined. So 10 years later, we, one of us really loved performing in theater and wanted to do more theater stuff. Another one of us was way more into like the dance portion of things and wanted to pursue more dance. So, we just kind of ended up going our separate ways.
But to me, 10 years feels like a good run. Like that feels more impressive than it does, We
worked with a lot of people. We did a song with Akon, and Red One was a really hot producer back in the day. He did Lady Gaga's Poker Face and stuff like that. We had a good run. We did like Kiss concerts in Boston and performed with like Red Hot Chili Peppers. We did a lot of cool things. So I'm proud of that. Guys, I was really cool at one point. Now I'm not so cool, but I was cool at one point. So I'm taking that. Okay.
We have not had anybody with this kind of background or experience even remotely close on with us on the podcast. So it's a very cool thing to bring on. But can I tell you what is coolest to me from like a nerdy standpoint is to see the ways in which you're bringing like your unique talents and like part of you that just wants to be expressed in different realms. So you see it contrasted on stage because it had to come out of you and you had so much fun and you look back fondly. But to me, I get the same feeling when you're telling a good story about being in the kitchen or in the restaurant, that same expression and kind of thrill is coming out. And to me, like that's where I think great stories live outside of over idealizing or pedestalizing, certain specific types of expression. Sometimes there's just like really cool, beautiful elements in different areas. So this is okay. Wow. Cool. That's like a whole other life lived. What's the gap between you guys decide you all want to kind of focus on different things to being an Andrew to you got your guys' like worlds meeting?
Let's see. So that was we ended up parting ways with Jada when I was about 26 then, and I moved down here to Nashville when I was 30. I'm aging myself now. Now you just know how old I am. Damn it. And then I met Andrew about 2 years after I moved down here. So Yeah. 8 years, whatever that is.
I have no idea. This is how little prep we do on this show, whether or not that's always great or not. I don't know what how are you enjoying yourself now? Are you running restaurants? Are you doing something else completely different? Like what's your life like right now?
Yeah, no, now I work for a digital publishing company. Do head of their customer service. Again, customer service. I'm
Paying
always
attention.
somehow wrapped
Paying
in,
attention.
right? Yeah,
Paying
we're
attention.
Right.
always wrapped into that. But I've actually been with this company for almost 10 years as well. I guess 10 is like my magic number here, guys. This is just how we're doing it. But I was working with this company before Andrew nicely forced me to become PM of Virago. So I that was supposed to be my side gig while I was doing the digital publishing stuff, and then ended up leaving that, and then thank goodness I decided to leave Virago right before the pandemic hit. I mean, the timing was epic, and I came back to the digital publishing company, working from home, working remotely, and then the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh my god,
Exact right timing.
I'm so happy that this happened when it did, right? So
this is where I think, Andrew, please tell me the questions and things you want to talk about. I don't want to like
No, go ahead.
overly lead it, but this is where it seems like the natural place to go is in this conversation is now that you've seen the incredible power of K-pop, have you not thought about maybe it's time for like a second chapter in a new market?
That is-
it hasn't.
Is that not where you were going to take the conversation, Andrew? That's not.
I did not think you were going to take the conversation there. I don't know what you were going to say, but K-pop is definitely at the very bottom of what I thought you were going to jump into.
That's
but
amazing.
no, it's insane.
But do you watch any K-pop? Do you follow it at all?
Not really.
All right, I'm just throwing that in the back of your head. It is.
You know what? I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write this down. K-pop.
For all you know, there are incredibly, just ridiculously popular artists that are basing some of their movesets off of what they found from Jada. Like it is
100%.
It's possible.
Well, I mean, the funny thing about K-pop is that there's this tiny little hole-in-the-wall Korean restaurant that I go to here in Nashville, and they always have, I don't know what it is. It's like their version of like American Idol, America's Got Talent, something, but it's always on. And there's like, it's just a rotation of hundreds and hundreds of groups coming out and singing. And it is the most insane choreography, vocal ranges, stage performance. And it's like back to back, like it never ends. And every time we go in there, it's on. Like it's never not on. So from just the basic of it, I don't know anything about it, but from the amount of content that K-pop puts out,
it's globally dominating. Blackpink, BTS, I mean, it is globally dominating the charts.
You have names. Like this is something like
you guys are the crazy ones in this conversation. I am like the normal person for knowing that a band, like an artist like Blackpink, like headlining Coachella and having like just like breaking records on Spotify and all these different things. You were the crazy ones for not knowing how incredibly popular they are. And I'm the one that will first give the idea to Lauren to reach out to her 3 former artists and be like, there could be like, it could be a Seoul. Like we might need to jump on a plane to Seoul and play around with here because there's a hunger for it, man.
I mean,
it's
a Jada
dominating.
Jada reunion.
Did you guys ever do anything internationally?
We never did. No, we didn't. We didn't get out there. Could have. We had some opportunities. It just kind of didn't work out, or other things that were
same for me.
Yeah, I could
just to be on the same level. Yeah.
So I just want to kind of go down this K-pop rabbit hole just a little bit. Like how much of this are you listening to, Charlie? And this is not like I think you're on the outside and I'm not. That's not at all where this is going. But I don't know that I ever would have put down on paper, like, these are things that Charlie likes. I don't think K-pop would have ever crossed my mind. And I'm not saying anything negative about K-pop. I just don't know anything about K-pop.
And he knows that.
Okay, so I don't listen to K-pop, right? but I'm aware of how popular it is, right? I would say like Formula One's a good example of this. Maybe like the average American doesn't know when or how you would watch Formula One, but Andrew would be able to tell us, guys, Formula One is like incredibly globally popular and is picking up steam in America. So that's like, I actually don't listen to it, but I'm like surprised, Andrew,
Sure.
that you don't realize its dominance in the music world.
I think I know that it's big, but I think the level of big for me is like TikTok or like YouTube. I
Mm.
don't when you said Coachella, that was like the stepping point that I didn't realize it had gotten to. So like,
Yeah.
do I know
Selling
that it's
out.
popular? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I'll send you some
Crazy.
stuff. I'll find some stuff. I'll send it to you. I almost
Thank you.
want to, I don't like muting myself in the middle of a conversation and then typing up a storm to look up the K-pop charts, but I was really close to doing it. And I was like, that's too much. Let's just stay present. Just stay present in the conversation. But you
We
know,
need to take a quick K-pop break. We'll be right back.
yeah.
Yeah.
You say that, but I could
100%.
do that. I have the full power of editing. Right now, I could just hit clip and be like, all right, guys, go bathroom break, coffee, come back. I'm going to have 10 mind-blowing stats. Stay with us after this. Yeah, we'll be back.
We'll have different hats on. All good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
what were you, anything you were hoping to talk about, Lauren?
well, we derail on K-pop for an hour.
I mean, oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So what is your involvement today with music? Like how much music is actively in your day to day? I know you said you're working for this publishing company, but are you still creating? Are you still putting music out there?
I'm not doing anything under my name. I have a few writing partners that I write with when we want to be creative and do things. And that's pretty much it. I mean, once in a while I'll have friends that, are playing downtown or something that want, ask me to come up and do a song or two and hang out with them. But other than that, that's pretty much the extent these days. But yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when do you decide normally when you're building like an acquaintanceship with somebody and then starting to turn into a new friend, or maybe it's just like different people that you'd meet at work or whatever it is, when do you decide you're willing and interested in disclosing the Jada part of your life? That's part one. And then part two, what can you by this point in your life just so easily predict the next questions are going to be based off of once they know that?
Yeah, the questions are always the same. Yeah. That's a good question. I have to get to know you pretty well before I start going into, I was in a girl band for 10 years, because that's a really specific and slightly weird thing to just bring up, right? So, and you always get like immediately the questions like, what kind of music did you do? Were you the Beyonce of like the Destiny's Child? Did you guys fight? Oh, you guys must have fought all the time. That's one of the things that I am always shocked that people are fascinated by is, oh my gosh, 4 girls together every day for how many years? You guys must have like fought and just been so bitchy to each other all the time. I'm like, actually, I was in a band after Jada. It was a country band with all dudes, and there was way more drama with the dudes in that band than we ever had in Jada over the 10 years.
Was this in Nashville or in Boston?
That was still Boston, that band.
So you had dudes playing country music in Boston.
Country music in Boston?
I don't like it.
It's the
I don't like it.
In Boston, it's the cutoff shorts and the guys with like the plaid shirts with like the ripped off like sleeves. That's the kind of country that's in Boston. It's fine. They don't know the old school stuff. They're very much into like the new pop country. That's fine. But it is a big thing up there. Country's big. Right?
Like it? What do you mean you don't like it? I don't. What's that mean?
I think my head just went to like that super Southy accent talking about like riding a tractor, and it immediately just completely was like, I'm out on all. And I like country
have
music.
This very specific stereotype, like they must be singing about clam chowder. Like that's like
100%. Yeah, like instead of them singing about their pickup truck, they're talking about their fishing boat. Like that's just like where my head goes with this whole thing. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying for me and what I grew up with, it doesn't
seem to make sense. It doesn't gel.
Yeah, like if
Well, that's
if
the
this was
reason we do this podcast, is so that afterwards I can send him
100%.
a K-pop playlist followed by bands from the Boston area that specifically are only doing new country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, because like when I
broaden our
think of
horizons.
but like when I think of Boston music, and this is because of what I listened to growing up, I think of like Boston hardcore music. Like that's the whole everybody that I hang out with, all the guys that like I'm the outlier in my friend group where I don't care about hardcore music. I don't care about all of the going to the shows and punching people thing. Like that's not at all where I'm at in my life, and I
It's
never have
good.
been.
Good to
Yeah.
hear.
But the whole idea that there's like this like thing that doesn't mix that I think is kind of like what Charlie was saying, like that's really fun about this podcast is we talked about it earlier where we don't really do a lot of prep. We just kind of see where things go. That's one of the things that's also my favorite part about doing this is that we get to mesh things up that typically don't work together. And it's the same reason why I like cooking. It's because I get to pull from all these different avenues and all these different backgrounds and all these different flavors and sort of put it together on a plate. And that's where I've had a ton of fun. And that's where I find that like creative juice flows for me the most. But I don't know that I've ever asked you this, Charlie. Like, where do you find that like creative inspiration? Like, what pulls you into like when you get into writing, when you get into editing, when you get into whatever it is that you're going to be doing? How do you find that center? Like, what is that? That sort of that calling card, if you will.
It's probably pretty similar. I was also thinking, I was like, man, should we just start doing thumb trotting live? Because since we don't do that much prep and we don't do a lot of editing, it's like Netflix does the David Chang thing, right? Where he's doing live
Yeah,
cooking
dinner time
right
live.
now. And what I find most interesting about that is you actually get to see when things just don't go right. Like when an actual like expert fucks up and then is like trying to figure it out on the fly. I'm like, that is entertaining to me, and I don't want it something to be over edited.
Dude.
All right, that's an aside. That's a note for me when I'm going through editing. It's probably not really an answer to your question, but I gotta imagine it's the same creative inspiration that's just led by a lot of it by curiosity, right? Like all I'm thinking right now is about like my brain is completely preoccupied with this idea of like, okay, did Lauren sing with a country accent when she was in the Boston band? And was it like Boston country? But then with Jada, was there like vocal fry elements or certain things that like were attuned to what they wanted? And then could she still do those two different voices now? And wait, which singing voice feels most right to her? So like in my head, as we're doing whatever, that is a natural like spring that's kind of coming out of being like, well, I just want to know more things. And then I would say the creative element or the part that's fun that wants to be expressed is very similar to being in the restaurant and wanting it to like feel like you've nailed it, or wanting to be on stage and feel like you nailed it, which is not only is this thing fun for me, like I'm geeking out or interested, I also think that Lauren would probably have fun answering that question. I feel like we're both going to win. Like I kind of want to know there. And so there's a certain catalyst that can come from that idea of like, if that's what I'm saying with the cooking element. I only have these ingredients from me, and I want to make something that really tastes good and is interesting, but not just to me. It becomes that much better than the person I'm serving it to, like, gets a kick out of whatever I just came up with. So there's probably a lot of similarities. Does that somewhat answer the
Yeah, I
question you're
think
going
so.
for there, Andrew?
Yeah. I mean, so just to put Lauren on the spot right now, do you have two different singing voices? Or do you have 10?
You know, it's kind of funny. I've never been asked that question.
You're
I
welcome.
think, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. I think there's two different aspects that I'm looking at that I like immediately when you were talking about that, Charlie, I went to, yeah, what is that? What am I doing? Do I have a country voice and an R&B voice? And the difference between when I was in Jada and we were doing the R&B, more pop stuff, we were the creators of it. We were the ones writing the songs, recording the songs, making that music, creating what we wanted our sound to be. And that was coming from us. When I was in the country band, we did a lot of covers. We did a lot of gigging. That was our thing there. So my doing covers, I mimicked a lot of what those artists did. Right. So while I wouldn't say I have two different voices in a way, kind of, because again, there's like my voice that naturally comes out and what I want to create. Still, I can do R&B, pop, or country because I've written all of that. And when I sing it or do a demo of whatever I'm writing, I definitely tap into like more of the country feel of it. But a lot of it is also just the music and just the way that you sing things. It's not necessarily that my voice is changing, it's that I'm singing certain melodies that are more country. So it's not necessarily that my voice is different. I'm just singing an R&B riff compared to, the 2-chord country, verse. The music itself kind of changes your voice for you, if that makes sense in a way.
It does. When I think of the voice as like an instrument, like I think of a guitar playing metal, but then like switching genre. So then when I think of it as a tool that you're using and as an instrument, I think that it actually is pretty apt. That makes sense to me.
That's a great comparison.
So,
yeah, exactly.
What I heard from that was that R&B and pop has integrity, and country music is a 2-chord verse that anybody could cover.
Wild.
So is that what you're?
Wild accusation.
Interesting that's where you took it, Andrew.
That is. Yeah. It's interesting that's what you heard.
Interesting. How do
very
you
revealing.
love country music?
It's very revealing.
Me? Oh, I love
he
it.
Likes
so
it.
It's
he does.
It's about
love it,
90%. About 90% of what I listen to. It's country music and the Grateful Dead eat up almost all of my bandwidth when something's playing through the headphones. But
wow,
I will say I don't know that I listen to much new stuff. The vast majority of what I listen to, though, is probably listen to a lot of Conway Twitty, a lot of George Jones. Newer stuff, I really like Jamie Johnson. I think what he's doing is incredible. I love his voice. But yeah, I don't know. I just the poppiness that comes out of a lot of country today. I've never really been a big pop music fan, so it doesn't really resonate with me as much. But I don't know, man. If it's got a steel guitar in it, sign me up.
You're not into Chapel Roan? Like, actually, have you listened to Chapel Roan?
Deandra just played that for me, and I was like, you know what? I dig this. There's a few artists that kind of break down that very like Prince to me is like one of the all time. Like I will always listen and jam out to Prince. And there was a couple.
Have you
others
heard Kelly Clarkson's covers of Chapel Roan?
No.
That is a gift to both of you on top of your K-pop and your Boston country. Kelly Clarkson live on her show with Miranda Lambert sings a Chapel Roan cover, and it was like took the internet by storm for like a couple days because it was like, did she just do? Yeah.
Did you watch this clip, or are you a regular watcher of the Kelly Clarkson show?
I knew that.
Man, I wish that I could so confidently say I don't even know what show, I don't even know what channel she's on. But that was like one of my first crushes as a kid, and her winning American Idol. So I would proudly watch her show, but I don't. But I want to be able to be like, oh my god, yeah, I've got it. Oh my god, talk about aging. I was gonna be like, I got it TiVo'd. I'm like, I do not have it TiVo'd.
Do you watch daytime TV, Lauren? Is there like growing up in my household, it was always like Oprah was on all the time. And then if my mom wasn't home, I'm like flipping the channel to try to put Maury or Montel or even like Sally, Jesse, Raphael, or Ricky Lake. Like those were my, like Ricky Lake in the 90s was money. But Sally, Jesse, Raphael with those glasses and just her like snarky ass attitude, I love it. So but I got to know, like, are you?
I'm not a big daytime. I never was really into it. My parents, when growing up, did not like a lot of TV time. It was always very much like find other things to do. Like, all right, no problem. Not much of the daytime TV. No.
Can I loop back to a music thing, Andrew?
Yeah, of course.
I think that now what I want to eventually know, if this ever happens, is if you wrote your own country song, how would your voice be expressed there versus what it sounds like with music you wrote that was R&B? So that's because you're right. When you do a cover, mimicking in its own way is an art form, and it can also help express these different things that your voice, like an instrument, can do, like expressing your range. But it would be weird. Like one of the things I would do for years is I would sing Creep by Radiohead as Kermit the Frog. And it's incredibly funny, but weird because it doesn't make sense that you would sing Radiohead with that element unless you're like really trying to do something. So I immediately knew what you meant when you're talking about you're doing covers, but I still, there's like a part of me that wants to hear when you create your own song from scratch, but it's country melody.
Yeah.
What does she sound like?
I tend, I grew up singing R&B. I mean, that's like you talk about what I still listen to. I am like stuck in like 90s R&B music. I mean, I will listen to Boys to Men until the day I die. Um
What was your? Do you remember the things that hold your CDs that you would have in your car that would hang from
The
the
visor.
mirror? Oh, that's it, the visor. Yeah. So what's like 2 or 3 of the CDs that are getting the most wear?
Oh, it was like everything Boys to Men. I'm completely obsessed with Boys to Men. Mariah Carey all day long. When Christina Aguilera came out, I was like, give me all that. Um, let's see. I mean, I could go back to like you're talking to like B2K, Mario.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. Oh gosh, I could go on. Joe, remember Joe? Oh, that voice.
Nope.
Remember when Tyrese was a singer? Remember
Nope.
Tyrese? Guys, I'll send you some stuff.
The only thing I remember about
Element of the show
Tyrese.
of realizing how white Andrew and I are, that we're just like,
Yeah.
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 Tyrese, love
The,
Tyrese.
the only thing I know about Tyrese is how beautiful his teeth are from Fast and the Furious. As
Right?
soon as somebody says Tyrese, that's immediately where my head goes. Is best teeth I've ever seen on TV. Like
Right.
not even close. But he's
Oh, that's
gorgeous.
good. He's not terrible to look at.
All right,
No,
help me
definitely
out.
not.
Build the playlist for me a little bit more here, though, just of a few of those artists. The album, like the CD that you would probably have listened to the most from those artists, right? Like, there's probably a Mariah album or a Boyz II Men. Maybe there isn't, but like the CD that you can
Now
look
that's
back
what
on
I
and be like,
call
oh,
R&B
yeah.
1998.
Honestly, those were awesome back in the day. I loved
Yeah.
those. I
Yeah, I
mean,
have some of those.
oh man, let's see.
It's okay. I'll edit straight to it. So you could like do whatever right now. You could do a backflip. It's okay. It'll just be a clean cut to so that way it'll sound like you just right off the top of your head, you knew
It's like
exactly
you
which
knew what I was
CDs where it
talking
was.
about.
Hold on, can you do a backflip?
Who are you asking?
Either
Not
both
me.
of
I hope
you.
he's not. I hope he's not asking me. No. I mean, I could seriously injure myself on camera. I guess.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I will. I will not. Don't worry. I'm not interested in doing that at all.
Let's see here. Boys to Men came out. I'm trying to look up if I remember the title of it because they came out with like their greatest hits. Yes,
I'm
it
doing
was
him. I'm doing it in my head right now. Oh, go ahead.
Legacy. Boys to Men Legacy. It was all their greatest hits. I mean, you have like the It's So Hard to Say Goodbye, End of the Road, I'll Make Love
Hey.
to You. Come
Okay. I know
on,
all these. I do know these songs.
come on,
Yeah.
On Bended Knee. Come on, it's
On Bended Knee was the slow skate jam. Like if you were ballsy enough to get the like go up to the girl and like you hear One Bended Knee's about to come on for the slow skate at the skate center on Friday night, that's the move.
I'm imagining you like having a skate move where you slide up to them on one knee. That is that what you're talking about? No?
No, just
I was like, that
asking.
is
Just
ballsy.
no, just getting to the point of when you're 12, 13 years old at the skate center, it's like groups of people. And when you know like the DJ's like slow jams coming on, find your partner or whatever the shit they're doing. Like that's when you know like if Boys to Men came on and you were skating by yourself, you're
ooh,
having a bad night.
that's not.
I hear you. I just need you to know as your friend, I'm only imagining 12-year-old you perfectly timing it so the song comes on and you slide in on a skates on one knee next to the girl that you want to impress. That's I have
You're
the visual in my head.
you're giving 12-year-old me a lot of credit that he does not deserve. There is zero chance I was that coordinated at 12 years old.
Would you have
Zero
at
chance.
12 for both of you? Would you have been the kind of personalities either of you to make the move at the skate rink?
Absolutely. I had
No,
no fear
100%.
back in the day, man. No fear. If I wanted something, I went and got it. Now I'm like, hi. Am I flirting? No? Okay. Super awkward. Again, I was cool at one point, guys. Not anymore.
No, there's zero chance that I would have ever done anything like that at that point in my life. I was the kid. I tried so hard not to be noticed because I was bigger than everybody and had bright red hair. And it was at that time it was like Freckle City, and I had these before they had glasses that were actually like made to not make you look like an asshat when you were a child. So like the Coke bottle lenses were definitely what I had. So my move was be in the background of like 3 different groups. So no matter what group was getting attention, I could just kind of move to the next one and move to the next one.
That's
I was
fun.
really good at kind of like
Chameleon.
camouflaging.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? No,
I
you're
was
not
just gonna
escaping
ask,
this.
yeah.
I was at a party, I think like 6th grade. I had a crush on this girl, Shasta, and she had a birthday party. And I remember going to the mall with my sister, who was like 12 years older than me, and I saw her as this like sage, like all this potential for all this wisdom and advice for the perfect gift to get a girl in 6th grade. And so I know we went to Claire's. I can't exactly remember what we got. But I put all of this like thought into being like, and then like she'll really like my gift, and maybe that will do something or mean something. But I had half of this part of me. It was all about like research and creative prep and thoughtfulness. But then actually at the rink, I just feel like I had like my head down, looking at the ice when I was skating. I was like trying not to make eye contact with her. It's like I'd done all the necessary steps, and then once I was actually in the spotlight, I was terrified. Like that was the first time I think I can remember being like having like a crush and being like making some type of move, right? Like going and getting like a gift is like a move, and I just remember being like, yeah, mortified, Andrew, in the actual element. Yeah, and
I am
yeah.
so excited that it was Shasta. I am
Oh,
so
because you
excited.
forgot that you
know
know
this
Shasta.
person?
So that's how I know Charlie is. So not through Shasta, but Shasta is one of my wife's best friends.
Stop.
So
Yeah, so
that's
this clip will end up going across her Instagram, I'm sure.
100%. But I met Charlie in Fort Myers, Florida, through my wife Deandra, because they went to school together from 6th grade, 5th grade, up until senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And they were in a really tight little group of friends. And the Charlie Shasta drama, I have relived a lot.
So this
I
is
love it.
Huh?
This is a thing. But it's
I'm happily engaged, and she's been married for many years with many kids. So it was a thing, I don't know, 30 years, 20 years ago. And actually it never was. I think I don't even know if we ever even held hands, but it had that energy of like CW, no, Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
I would have been in middle school watching Dawson's Creek and then like imagining Shasta as my Joey. And I would have like had that like melodrama playing out in my own head. Shout out Dawson's Creek and Katie Holmes.
So excited for this clip.
I could play the song. Do you guys remember what's the song? I'll play the song underneath it.
Yeah, what
Open up a da-da-man. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Don't look at me like that, Andrew. I don't want to wait. That's it. For us to be over. I do. I was thinking this. That's the song for Dawson's Creek, no?
get there, man. I was like,
But I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
By the way, as a former professional singer, I really appreciate you at no point bailing me out there and helping to sing the refrain.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. I love that you just sang. You just went into it with absolute.
Not bad, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Heck yeah.
Well, the nice thing is we have no advertisers that were worrying that we would lose with any bit that we do. So with that comes a lot of freedom,
Yeah,
I don't know if Andrew's told you this. We both co-host and co-produce and co-direct and co-star in this Thumb Trotting. So
do you?
Total freedom, total journalistic freedom. Nobody's buying us off.
Could have never guessed.
Yeah, we can ask you all types of questions. Yeah, actually, I did have one serious question that I did want to get to. So just to change the tone a little bit, you guys must have gotten fights in Jada, right? Just being like 4 girls for 10 years.
Listen.
You had me hook, line, and sinker.
I just had to get away from the Shasta conversations. I was going to find some way out.
he had to put a stop. He's like, all right, next thing. Let's get out of here. But
it's funny because there is another through line here with you bringing that up, is because right before you came on, Lauren was explaining that she had guests in the house that had come up from
Fort Myers.
Oh shit!
Yeah, they went down there. So they live in Massachusetts, but they were gonna vacation in Fort Myers. They're okay. My friend's parents have a place down there. They got down there like like 3 days ago, and I'm sitting here like, Kayla, have you been watching the weather recently? And just okay, went down there, and then quickly realized that this hurricane was coming full force and was getting a little scary. So they ended up leaving Tuesday night. What's today? Thursday, whatever it is. Tuesday night. Started driving at midnight. Ended up here in Nashville at my house.
Wow.
So they've got
Well, good choice by them.
two
Good call
young
by
boys.
them.
Yeah. Well, they used to live here too. So
Oh, okay.
it was kind of made sense. And honestly, they tried to look for a few hotels coming up in Atlanta once they kind of got out of the danger zone, and everything was booked. So they just kept
Watching
driving.
the hurricane pass. So my family's still in Naples, and then my sister and her kids are in Melbourne, just like east of Orlando.
Okay, yeah.
So it's such a weird thing that probably nobody talks about for a reason, because it's a weird thing to talk about. But it's a weird thing to individually watch a hurricane path with your own attached interest of where you would like it to not go. It's
Right.
like you're like hoping that it goes towards other innocent people,
Well,
that it will.
Right.
Yeah. But you're like secretly like checking it every hour to be like, I just hope it's like further. But then if you think about it too long, you're like, oh God, what am I actually hoping for? So it's I guess obligatory thing to say. I hope that as many people got out as needed to, and that it's not as bad as they hoped it would be. But I don't miss that. The thing about LA that I don't love is the thing that I feel like people don't talk about a lot when you're like swapping what you're going to have. I don't even know what it is in Nashville. Tornadoes? Do you guys even?
Tornadoes.
Yeah. So the thing I feel like don't talk about enough with the fires in California, maybe they do, maybe you guys will both be like, yeah, Charlie, we hear this all the time, is the air pollution effect. So I was just always like, I'm worried about a fire because I'm worried it could take my apartment or my home and I need to get the fuck out. But now it's like fires can be pretty far away, and then you just see that smoke like roll through your city for a while, and that is gnarly. And I was like, oh man, like it's one, yeah, don't lose all your shit to a fire, and then it's two, wait, there's going to be like these other effects of it. We're talking about natural disasters now, so anyway.
Yeah, all the fun. But speaking of LA, do you spend a lot of time in LA, Lauren? Are you a fan of Los Angeles?
Yeah, when I was in Jada in the band, we were in LA all the time recording. That's where we did a couple of our music videos that we put together. My sister lives out there now, so I'm out there at least once a year now just to visit and hang out. But
where's your sister live in LA?
Oh gosh, she just moved. She was in North Hollywood, but now it's fine. She just moved. It's still fresh.
She'll get it.
I
She'll
haven't
understand.
Yeah.
This is only on the internet forever.
Yeah.
North Hollywood's not too far from where I'm at. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. Well, we always say this, but it's true. If there's ever a magical meeting of calendars where Andrew's here as well and you're here, then we have to get some food. But also, it's kind of the cool thing about meeting more and more people that Andrew knows in Nashville, because sooner or later I will have to visit him.
Sooner.
His wife's been expecting me to be there for like 14 years and I haven't come. So
Wait, have you
anyway,
ever been to Nashville? Have you ever come?
I have been to Nashville because I did the fantasy football thing in Virago, but it's just it's very seldom that I go there. So I love meeting these other people, these other interesting people that Andrew thinks so highly of, because it's kind of cool. It's like building up a second network of people I might be able to like say hi to or grab a meal or meet when I actually visit you in Tennessee. Just thinking out loud about some of the other benefits of meeting new people that are in the same city, because everything's so spread out now. So even so many of my friends are in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing that's really fun about that is that going out to dinner has sort of been like the genesis of where this podcast came from. And it's funny because saying that, I feel like maybe there's this, idea that Charlie is this like hyper adventurous eater. And I think he's gotten a lot better. I'd say since the first time I met you, when you got excited about gravy at Perkins, to where we are now, I think you've come a long way, and I'm happy
Perkins
for that.
was amazing. Perkins was like one of our main Southwest Florida Christian Academy Go Kings high school hangout. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
No idea if that Perkins is still there on 41.
It is. Oh, they're everywhere.
Okay. It is. He
But
checked.
Lauren still is a great eater. We did a R&D trip when we opened up that new Virago in Austin, and I think I tried to kill everybody from how much food we ate. But I mean, we were there for 4 days, and I think we had like 12 reservations in that 4
Wow.
days, like lunch, dinner, and then random stuff in between. And
It was a lot.
champion, man, solid eater. I'm impressed. So
I can eat.
you're
I can
yeah,
eat, and I
well, like
love
you're
Yo,
adventurous too.
love food. I love all types of food. You put something in front of me, you have to at least try it, right? That's my thing. You have to at least try anything once. But it's just, gosh, I love
we
food.
share that philosophy. I've been a picky eater most of my life, but in the last 10 years, I've made incredible gains, and mostly based around that thing you just said, which is I refuse to be somebody that won't at least try something one time. And then, of course, that leads to discovering there's certain things that you really like that scared
Right.
you.
Yeah, that you
Yeah.
might have never thought that you'd like.
But I do at some point, Andrew, we need to do a non-episode episode, like we're set up like this, we're all at our computers, they're, lighting and everything, but that you actually have out in the wild, like a night, we put it on our YouTube channel, a night eating with you. Because when you say you're impressed by Lauren, only I really know what that means, because I know how much you can eat and how you can do like a second dinner or a third dinner. Like, we'll eat here, but why not, instead of dessert, why don't we go get tacos from this other place? And some of your friends too are also in the food industry. It's like you guys can just fucking eat, and it is insane. And the amount you'll order at one place and then at another place blows my mind. So when I hear you say you're impressed with somebody else, I know that is like, holy shit. So Lauren must be able to like eat. And then like I visually, Kat, like my fiance like watches this on YouTube for like enjoyment. She what's it called?
Mukbang.
Mukbang. She'll
Yeah.
just watch people who can just have incredible metabolisms and incredible capacity just eat on YouTube an ungodly amount of something. So I don't know why we've never put two and two together, but it's just like have a night in LA next time you're here and capture some of everything we're eating for the YouTube.
Yeah.
And done.
Yeah.
Because see, you might be obscured because you've lived so close to your own interests and passions in the food world. You might yourself be obscured to how awe-inspiring it is. And when I crash into your world and I could be like, I guess I could do an appetizer. I don't really need one. I'll probably just be full from the main dish. And I'll probably take like part of the main dish home with me and eat it tomorrow. And that in no way can I show up to dinner with you with that attitude. Like I cannot have that mindset.
I was just in LA.
Home. You eat
No,
it
absolutely.
there, or that's it.
Yeah. I was just in LA a couple months ago, 3 months ago or something, and we went to dinner with Charlie's neighbors, and we ended up going to this sushi restaurant down in Redondo Beach that was like lights out incredible. But we ordered a lot of sushi. I mean, it was not like we're gonna have. And then we left there and went to this place called Hasu, which is like a traditional yakitori restaurant. So it's like only sticks, and they've been doing it here the same way. The guy brought the tare from Japan, and I think I ordered, because there were five of us at the table. Five of us? Yeah, five of us. So I ordered five of everything on the menu, and it just kept coming and everybody's just was like, "What
We
are
went to
we?"
sushi and had a ton of sushi, and we did not follow it up with ice cream, right? We did not follow it up with like some artisanal chocolate dessert shop. We followed up our sushi meal with yakitori and with being like, well, we're here. We ought as well see everything he can possibly put on a stick. I mean, we're all the way
and we did.
we're all the way down in Redondo or in Torrance. Which on that end, it does make sense. We were all the way out in Torrance. It kind of makes sense. Let's just order everything he has. But yeah, that was wild. But it was cool. Except I can very confidently say that I do not fuck with the eel as prepared in that yakitori, even though you loved it.
Yeah. So this was fresh eel that they prepare in-house. So this is not the stuff that they buy in that's like soaked in sugar. So like it has a lot of fat content. It
definitely was not soaked in sugar.
Yeah. So if you go to like a cheap sushi restaurant or like a cheap yakitori restaurant, they buy in this like pre-barbecued eel that's covered in like essentially 50-50 soy sauce and sugar. And it's very, very sweet. It's very soft. It's almost mushy. It's not very good. But this yakitori restaurant brings in live eels. They break them down. They brush them with the tar. So it's like the intense oceanic flavor, that like very fatty, fishy flavor. And Charlie tried it. And I give him props.
So
He tried
fishy.
everything.
So fishy.
And he couldn't do it.
So
Couldn't do
fishy.
it.
We were with my neighbor and his wife, Tash and Priyanka, and we were eating something, and she was like, "No, I get it. This is like why they say like, you know, you want to like taste the ocean." And I remember just looking at her and being like, "When I'm in the ocean, the last thing I want to do is open my mouth. Like I don't want any of that in my mouth at all ever. I don't know why anybody would." Anyway, this does seem like the final place to wrap up, by the way, is discovering your actual interest and love for food, because it's such a common overlap with Andrew and something he's passionate about. So I would love to know a little bit about what kind of passion or love you have for food, whether it's cooking or just consuming and certain type of genres, like whatever. Just tell me what you love in the food world.
A lot of my love for food, it comes from my mom, for sure. So I actually was born in France, and didn't move back to the States until I was about 8, I think. And we've gone back a bunch, and you know, my parents were there for like 14 years and speak French fluently, and you know, the food in Europe is just it. What am I missing? Something?
Absolutely.
Saying oui.
Parlez-vous anglais? No. Croissant.
Unless it's a food term, I'm 100% out on French.
My God, hilarious. Anywho,
as she tells you she spent her first 8 years in France.
My God. Anyway, that's a lot of like the base of like my love for food was obviously just like eating a lot of like that fresh French food. My mom is Portuguese as well, so my grandmother, and my entire mother side of the family are like insane cooks. I mean, insane. It's just like anytime you have a family gathering, we are that family that has like, you know, 30 something different dishes for like 8 people. Like it's outrageous. It's fresh. It's, you know, it's, oh my God. It's just like, I love family time because I just get to gorge myself on all the good food. But yeah, I grew up just eating. I mean, my mom would like literally make sushi and pack us sushi lunches to go to like to school in like middle school and high school. My you know, I just remember friends being like, "Ew, what are you eating? Gross." I'm like, "Oh, you have no idea what you're doing. It's fine." But yeah, we just grew up that way, eating all sorts of different stuff, and you know, just always trying new things. That was just how we grew up, was just eating, you know, weird, to other people, weird stuff. I remember this one time I had friends come over, when I lived with with my parents when I was a teenager, and I forget, I was going like into like the freezer for like ice for someone, wanted ice for, you know, probably like, you know, a Coke or something, whatever it was. And in the freezer was this whole octopus. Oh my God. This was literally like the story for the whole next week of school, was like, my God, when we went to Lauren's, there was an octopus in her freezer. How weird is that? I mean, I will never forget that, because to me, I was like, oh yeah, I think my mom's making some kind of like ceviche later or something. I don't know. And they just look at you like you're absolutely insane. What are you talking about? Who has like a whole octopus in their freezer? So yeah, I just grew up eating all the things. I'd say like today, my favorite foods in general is honestly anything like Asian. I love Korean, I love sushi, anything Japanese I could literally eat every day. Thai food, like stop. Like ramens, stop it. Like anything Asian inspired, I would just eat every day if I could. Love it.
Where does Taco Bell land?
Ooh, wow. You have loved Taco Bell forever. That is so funny you bring up Taco Bell.
It makes its way in here from time to time.
Every once in a while, yeah. Just toss it in there. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to Taco Bell, Andrew. Couldn't tell you.
Charlie, when you come to Nashville, we're all getting together at Taco Bell.
Easy, sold, done, no pushback. Let's go.
It's going to be incredible.
I'm gonna
I
pack my
can't
sushi
wait.
lunch with me.
Absolutely not. I'll be doing all of the ordering.
Well, hey, I'll throw this out here because it's topical, but Kat and I just started watching the Korean culinary class wars on Netflix. Just like all these incredible, like there's Michelin star Korean chefs, there's super celebrity Korean chefs on it, and they decided they got 100 of them together, and like 20 of them are like what they consider the most well-renowned, and they're literally looking down. They're elevated on a platform, looking down at the other 80, and the other 80 have done something to be there, right? But they don't have this world-renowned whatever, and they're watching them as they get eliminated until there's only 20 left on that bottom floor, and then those 20 will go against the world-renowned 20 to see if somebody can like leave their like lower class culinary to be seen on the high level. It's incredibly overly dramatic. Like just it's like watching a K drama. It's so dramatized and melodramatic, but it does seem like the food looks exceptional, and it seems like the judges really give a shit. So it's this really interesting contrast of like kind of overproduced, hilarious, like oh my god, this is a TV show of TV shows. Except that I think that the food effort is really really high, and that the judges are really trying to be serious about their feedback. So might be something with your
Now I'm
inclination towards
interested.
foods.
Right?
I just almost assumed you knew that it was out, and know some of the, you probably know some of the chefs, Andrew. But
I've seen the trailer for it on Netflix, but I haven't watched it yet. But now I'm definitely more aligned to watch it for
List.
sure.
the coolest moment is the elevate so far is the elevated platform of all these world-renowned chefs. They get all of them get super excited about watching a YouTuber, and he's like, his name is like somebody's dad. Like there's a little kid he has or something, and he's that kid's dad on YouTube, and he like makes food, and like I obviously must be really really good. But it was cool and cute to see like all these world renowned people like kind of like geeking out about a YouTuber and
That's
cheering
fun.
for him. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, Charlie does a really good job every time we get to this point about talking about. We've been here for an hour and 15 minutes, but is there anything that we didn't get to, Lauren, that you wanted to talk about, that you wanted to bring up? Any curiosities that you had before we wrap this thing up?
I mean, half of my world these days is based around dogs. I am a big advocate for rescuing. I don't know what it is in the South. It's very different down here as far as like the rescue world, and just like so many strays, and people are very seem uneducated about neutering and spaying. Like there's like it's a whole thing down here that I did not know about until I started getting super involved with a rescue. Actually, that is was initially founded in LA. It's the Wags and Walks is the name
hey,
of it. They're out there. They started in LA, and then they opened one up down here, Wags and Walks Nashville. And I started being involved, volunteering and fostering through them, and it's opened my eyes, and I'm like now just completely obsessed with fostering dogs and making sure these dogs have end up in good homes, and having the lives that they deserve to have. Um, so as soon as you brought your dog on Charlie, I was like, ooh, all the questions. Where did you get him? How long have you had him? What's going on? What's his name?
so that is Kat's dog, who actually her family mostly watches. Her family fell in love with her dog, and so we watch her sometimes. Her family's in Japan, so I don't really see her all the time. Her name's Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. She's really cute. She likes to burrow under the sheets when you don't know it. So if you're sleeping, you like wake up and like they're all the way down by your foot underneath all of the sheets,
Yeah,
which I think is really cute.
yeah.
No, she's a great dog. Andrew and I both have been dog owners for a long time, and it was weird and sad, but beautiful. As I was doing all this editing for our first season of Thumb Trotting, and there's an episode where we both had kind of lost our dogs not too far from each other, and it both came up in the same episode, and I called it like the dog dying episode, of us both like working through and talking about how emotional it can be and crying and everything.
Yeah.
But mine was a rescue as well. I had for 15 years, and I do think they just make the absolute best dog. So shout out to Riggins and Hallie. But I'm curious right now, how many dogs are in your home right now?
Right this second, I have 4 dogs. I had 5 this morning, but one got adopted today.
Hey,
Yep.
awesome.
So, yeah, I have 2 of my own, both rescues. And then I have two fosters. So yeah, it's just people adopt. Please, please, please. These dogs deserve so much better than what they've gone through and what they deal with. It's wild. I mean, come on. They're dogs. They're literally like the best creatures on earth. Like, what are you doing being mean to the dogs?
You know what the best part about dogs are? Is that they're not cats.
Oh my god.
I'm putting my foot down.
Oh man, I can't believe
this,
I'm the person that's going to defend cats of all fucking people that I'm going to come on and defend cats. It's a cosmic joke because I grew up with the 2 worst cats. I think that there's a world now, Andrew. I've always been of your persuasion, but I think something's changed, and I could see a world where I could have. My cat. I want it to qualify as one of those rarer cats that's very dog-like. But I've now met enough of those cats, in like my late 30s. Like I know they exist. Like I know they're not just like incredibly rare. Like they do exist, and so I could see a world where like I have a cat, but it's one of those cats. It's like a bro, you know. It's like a dog bro cat.
I'm glad
Dog
you
bro
put the
cats
dog.
exist.
I'm glad you put the dog in front of it, because if you would have just been like, I want a bro cat, that would have been the worst possible 2 things to combine. And there is no
You
chance
think
you
it's
would
like a
ever.
cat that's like rushing to get into like Delta Chi or something? I don't
That's
like.
where, just like my brain jumps to the worst possible thing, just like when she was talking about Boston country music. That's the same thing that went to this. I'm thinking like a dude, cat, hat backwards, cut off shirt, like rushing, pledging. Like, no,
Come
hard
on,
pass.
if that cat actually existed, though, that cat sounds freaking amazing.
I mean, then you might like cats a little bit more. Am I
Oh,
right?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
No way. The only cat that I've ever wanted are those big, massive Maine
like a
Coon cats.
lynx. Oh yeah,
No.
Maine Coons.
They're like
Yeah, I know, I got you.
60-pound cats. That's the only cat that I'm like, okay.
Sure. No, that sounds like a great idea for inside domestic animal.
Right,
Totally.
because I want to live on my toes. I want to be like, I think this animal could actually kill me. Yeah, you got to have a little bit of scare. You know what I'm saying?
God, you just want to
feel like
always
that's
be a little scared.
1000%.
God,
I truly believe that. You have to have a little bit of edginess. You know, that's why the restaurants are so much fun.
You don't have to. No one has to.
I don't.
All right. Well, I don't think we're gonna have a better, more wholesome place to wrap up. If you love animals and you have the capacity and budget and bandwidth, it's gonna make your life better. Go adopt a dog. Right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, if there happens to be a cat that's cool, dog bro cat, can consider that too.
Dog bro cat. Amazing.
All right. Thanks so much for doing this. This is wonderful.
Thanks, guys. This was fun. Let's do it again.